P.O.P podcast, let's go. The P.O.P podcast, let's go. The P.O.P podcast starts now.
Hello and welcome to the P.O.P podcast. I'm Jason Sirotin, joined as always by my co-host and now my friend, Scott Haley. Scott, how are you?
Jason, good to see you. We're coming off of a hot Mother's Day weekend, right?
I know, man. Those brunches get intense, don't they?
In Minnesota, all you can eat Mother's Day brunch for $31. It's unbelievable.
That sounds amazing. Well, I'm very excited about today's show because we have someone who I have a high fondness for. My dear friend, my partner at Bytes Creative, the CEO, Savvy Lorestani is here. Savvy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. It's just exciting to be here. I've heard about you two doing this podcast for a while, and I'm excited to be a part of it. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you know, you guys were just at an event together in January, and you were giving. I've heard the top level stuff. Unfortunately, I've been so slammed. I have not had a chance to really learn about what you talked about. But Scott was telling me that you gave a really interesting presentation at their event, and it's kind of a game changer for orthos. And I was hoping that maybe today we could go through that. You could kind of explain what it is you talked about it and how it can help docs.
Yeah, but are you saying that Scott was paying attention during my speech?
He did tell me that. He actually said that.
All right.
I gotta say, I'm pumped for this conversation today, right? And I'll tell you why. Because the thing that always comes up with doctors is marketing. It's very mysterious to a lot of our orthodontists, not just at P.O.P, but orthodontists in general. And I think what we're going to talk about today is going to unlock some secrets or some keys. And, you know, I hope we can get into what some outlier practices are doing, because there tends to be some themes. And Savvy, you and I picked up on that at the P.O.P meeting, right? Like these practices that are thriving and growing, and it's like they tend to kind of do the same thing. So,
yeah. Scott, I think you nailed it. There's too much mystery around marketing. There's too much cloak and mirrors and voodoo dust. And actually, it really gets more and more simple the more you dig into it. And I think that's why we created this. These 6 winning strategies was to simplify it, to make it really clear that winning practices do some combination of these 6 winning things. And if you're really good at many of them, you're likely going to be super successful. And if you're not good at any of them, you're going to struggle in some ways. And for us, studying this was half the battle. Jay, was asking at one point, like, where does this even, where did this come from? And the idea for us was, surprisingly, was studying the practices we were working with that were doing not as well as the other ones. And why? Why for these years that we've been doing this, when we, like all the other agencies, once upon a time were one size fits all, everybody gets the same thing. Why are some doing really well with it and some are not doing as well? So we kind of had to stop and we started studying what we call super practices to really understand the other things they were doing beyond just digital to help them succeed. And it helped us way better understand why practices do really well and which ones don't. And it helps practices figure out where they need to focus their energy and attention once they see those 6 strategies. They immediately get it. They go, that's the one. That's where I can put my attention.
And so, Savvy, the name of the actual kind of talk was 6 strategies of successful practices.
I call it 6 winning strategies. It's not all of them. Obviously, there are many strategies, but that is how we frame it up, because we've seen that these 6 topics are foundational. They're fundamental. And many things can come from them, right? You might find a lot of tactics that grow from all of them, but at the core, these are the 6 big things that we're seeing.
Can we go one by one and just talk through each one?
Yeah. I would love that. The first one, Jay, is brand clarity, purpose, and shine. And the reason this one means a lot to me is because I ignored it for many, many years. I was very focused on the data, the traffic, the conversions. But what we keep hearing from orthodontists is, oh, it's just gotten so competitive. What we're not hearing is how they actually combat it. And the ones that actually combat it, their brand means something. It resonates with people. It's chock full of differentiators. And I see it on 3 tiers. There's 3 levels of brand differentiation. Tier 1 is just, are you shiny? Do you have a pretty logo? Do you have pretty pictures? Are you not from the 1980s? That already is going to give you a jump. But tier 2 is, are you personality forward? Can I get on your website? Can my son get on your website and know what kind of doctor he's about to meet? Are you fun and friendly? Are you focused on family? Are you really focused on technology and being the best? That's that second piece, right? If you want to go a step further. And that third one, we call it true, meaningful differentiation. Are you truly different? Do you have a branded smile, as we see with people at P.O.P? There's some doctors there that are just destroying it with that. Are you focused on the full child? Maybe you're into airway, right? Do you have a strong stance on two-phase treatment? Are you deeply tied to your community? Do you give back? Are you incredibly creative? I have an orthodontist in Florida who presents like a plastic surgeon, talks about the full face and crushes it that way. So the idea is, are you truly differentiated? And it doesn't matter where you start from, but if you're not at that third level, go to the next level. That will change your practice. And I often have people tell me, they're like, oh, well, should I do billboards? And my answer is always, well, do you have something to say? And if they don't have something to say, if they're not truly differentiated, there's no use in that. But if you have something to say, when you put it out into the world, they will respond.
If someone has a practice that's not kind of meeting that criteria and they can recognize it, how do they get started on repairing it? Because it's like, that's such a huge lift. And I think that might intimidate people, but it's also the thing that if they don't do it, it's going to really harm their practice long term.
That's such a great question. I actually think the hardest part is on the whiteboard. Can you figure out what makes you special? And the few ways I go about it are, one, I'll go through, if you're a review heavy practice, let's go through the reviews. Let's just read them. What are people saying? What is the thing? I also ask for really good practices that have differentiation. You ask the key staff. You don't have to start with the doctor. Talk to the people that are sticking with that doctor because they love that doctor. They know the answer. They know why they brought their kids to that doctor. They know why their family, why they trust that doctor. They know why they stayed there for 17 years. Talk to the doctor. Talk to the doctor's family. Talk to the doctor's spouse. You will start to figure it out. And often, if you do enough just interview the people at the practice, you're going to hear something and you're like, wait, what do you mean you do smiles, charity smiles? What does that mean to you? And all of a sudden you find out that they've been giving back by doing these smiles for kids that couldn't afford them. Or you find out that they are running a separate mission that they're funding these other projects. Or you find out that the doctor's actually like so focused on aesthetics that when no one's looking, they take the picture and they draw the arrows and they're actually trying to figure out how to create perfection. Or you figure out that they're in a master class and that in this master class, they've been studying all the elements of a perfect smile because they care so much. The answer is there, but they're not talking about it. And if their answer is not there, that's a different problem. But the answer is typically there.
So you would say the first step to success is really figuring out what your differentiator is as a brand and really putting that foot forward.
Yeah, that's a first winning strategy, right? You might not need that one. You might be able to crush it on some of the other ones that you can just have a really beautiful branding. And that's enough. A beautiful logo, aspirational messaging. But in that process, if you find that there's deep, meaningful differentiation, when that gets out there, you will have an immediate difference. It will change the practice. It'll change the way that people talk about the practice within it and beyond it.
Hey, so Savvy,
Yep.
Savvy, what percentage? I mean, that's really interesting to me, right? Like, I was recently on looking at a doctor's website, and it looked like a family dental practice website from the 1980s. Like you said, you can see it, you can smell it, right? And then you go to other websites and they look super polished, the logo's clean, and you can just see the professionalism. But what percentage of doctors, I think everyone knows about brand and logo, but what percentage of the doctors that you guys interact with are you know, taking it to that second and third level? It's probably less than we all think, right?
You would be surprised. I'll answer it this way. You'd be shocked how many people come in not even at tier one. You'd be shocked how many people come in with that 1980s website. And I'm going to answer your question, but I want to talk about that for a second because they're my favorite. Because what happens to them is they just get to tier one and they have an immediate boost, and an immediate long lasting boost. And they're like, well, what happened? I didn't change anything else. And what they realize in that moment is their referrals were a leaky bucket because so many people were referred to them because they were great, got there and said, well, let me see what else is out there. And if you are blowing it on that, plus if even one or two other strategies you're not winning on, you all of a sudden have been losing money and you had no clue how much you were losing. So that's my favorite use case, is a great doctor with that 1990s website. That said, Scott, what you're going to, oh, you go, Jay.
Well, I was just going to say it's trust, right? I always talk to clients and I'm like, look, if you're making a decision, if your car breaks down, you don't know where to go, and you have two choices, a clean, polished looking site or a site that looked like it was made in the 80s, what are you going to trust off the bat? Like, it's just human nature, how our brains work. So I just think that, that it's at the core, it really comes back to the lizard brain.
You are dealing also with a society that they have lots of choices, they have lots of information, and they're going to go look at their choices. These are people with means. They want what is going to be the best for themselves or their kids or their wallet. So they're going to do some research. And the worst part about that referral leaky bucket is that over time, that dentist finds out that enough people did not go to you, that they referred, it hurts their credibility. They have no choice. They have to start saying, well, here's a couple, you make the call, because they don't want to look foolish. So it's really important that getting to tier one is really important. Scott, to answer your question, more and more now I see doctors coming in that have started working with some agencies, and they'll get to tier one, right? They'll have more of a polish, just a beautiful aspirational brand, logo. But I am not seeing a lot beyond that, actually, because those agencies are kind of one size fits all. They're not thinking about how to compete when there's 10 of those doctors around and 3 of them are offering $1,000 off Invisalign. That's the game here.
Yeah. And before we move on to number 2, I want to tell everybody that they can get a free analysis by going to brainbytescreative.com, clicking the contact us button, filling out the form, and you can get an analysis and find out what could be your winning steps to success with Savvy and some of the great team there. Savvy, let's talk about number 2. Tell us what the second winning strategy is.
It's so simple, but it's what we call dominating in reviews. Dominating means that when you look at your reviews on your orthodontist practice on a map or with a bunch of other practices around it, who has the most 5-star reviews? And to dominate, you want to have 100 more 5-star reviews than your nearest competitor. People that dominate on reviews, even if they're not the best at referrals or the best at any of the other strategies, they are the most likely to create that leaky bucket for other practices. So ones that can dominate on reviews, immediately when you get a practice and you get a recommendation or a referral and you start to Google about what else is around you, the one that's dominating is going to be is often going to be that second choice for you, that backup, that, well, let me get a second opinion. There's another reason why dominating reviews matters so much, guys. In the world of AI, search is fundamentally changing. If I'm trying to find the best orthodontist for a kid with ADHD, ChatGPT has to find that content somewhere. Where is it finding that content? It lives in the reviews. So those reviews are very important for AI search, very important for Google search. What's Google's job? Send someone to the best place for their search. If you don't have the best reviews, you're going to start to really slip here. So I cannot tell you how valuable it is to intercept referrals, protect your referrals, and to become the first place people find when they're making those searches. Reviews are key to your local SEO, key. And the ones that dominate reviews win.
And Savvy, I've seen the assessment that you guys do for our doctors. That's phenomenal, right? Like basically correct me if I'm wrong, but when we do these assessments, you're looking at all their competitors, looking at how many reviews they have. I mean, like things get real quick, right? Like in terms of being able to see where the traffic is. You guys show them how much traffic they're getting, what traffic looks like in their market. I thought that was one of the most interesting things that came up at the meeting because, I live more on the product side of what we do, right? And the relationships with the doctors, but them talking about strategies to capture those reviews was a big part of our meeting too. And your contributions to that as well. So fascinating.
Is huge, Scott. You're absolutely right. And I love this about the P.O.P docs. It's one of those meetings where you learn more than you came in with. So I left being like, well, let me add to my review stuff all of these different ideas and ways that they go about it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when we do assess a practice, we look at every practice around it. And something we do lately, Scott, is we'll sit down with a practice and all their key leaders, and we'll just do it together. And you'll see the conversation start to explode. Well, why would they have more reviews than us? Well, I know why. The doctor's too shy. He doesn't ask for them. And all of a sudden, there's an explosion in the practice, and you start to have those conversations that lead to actual change.
Right, right.
That's what I was going to ask is, so when you're talking to a practice, what is something tactical that they can do right away to start being more review focused?
I think the first thing I like to do is benchmark them. I want to look at their practice and the practices around them and figure out how big is the deficit and why. Second, I like to know if there are not great reviews. We need to find out why, because there's operational issues. I like to throw all the reviews into AI and be like, hey, just give me the top themes about what's not going right here, because they need to operationally figure out what's going on, because it's keeping people from asking for a review. There's a reason there. The third thing I like to do is talk. Why is this practice not doing this? Why are they not asking for reviews? So that's what it comes down to, right? Why are they not asking for these reviews? And figuring out that often we have what we call the humble doc, which is a doctor that doesn't want to ask for reviews, comes from a time where you don't talk about yourself, you let other people do it. So we start to deal with that. And we talk about the strategies, which is like, you don't have to ask, but the people around you do. It's not easy to talk about how great you are. It's much easier for someone else to do it. So we start to talk with the staff about that. Also, we bring in technology. There's all kinds of technologies that can help with this, that can help get a net promoter score to help figure out, hey, would this person have been happy? Would they have given us a good review? Great. Let's ask them for a review. And it can be unleashed every time somebody gets a debond. The final thing I like to do is just be like, hey, how many times are you guys debonding a month? And they'll give me the number. And I'll be like, so you can't even have one of them give you a 5-star review? And they'll look at themselves and be like, what am I doing? It's like, yeah, like, this is easier than just build the routine. Once you have a routine, a process, and a script, you're unstoppable.
Let's jump right into number 3. What is winning strategy number 3 for orthodontic practices?
Yeah, for us, it's your SEO, your SGE presence. We need to know how well you're doing.
Whoa. We got to go back because, I just figured out how to turn on this computer today for this podcast. You need to tell me what SEO stands for. And what did you say the other word was?
SGE.
SGE. Okay. Hit me with it, Savvy.
Yeah, SEO is search engine optimization. It's really your Google presence. How well do you show up when people are searching? And this can be straight up on Google, right? Someone's looking for, you get a referral, you start looking for an orthodontist, you want to search online to make sure, hey, is the referral I got a good orthodontist? And all of a sudden they're not ranking, you've lost credibility. When someone's Googling orthodontist near me, when they're Googling some form of Invisalign treatment, some form of braces treatment, some long tail query about how much orthodontic treatment costs, when they're looking for retainers in their town, all of these, there's hundreds of keywords that really matter to an orthodontist. 2 things you want to know: how many people are looking for it in the cities that you serve, all the cities that you serve, and how well do you rank for it? I cannot tell you how many times you look at a practice and they're literally in a town where tons of people are making this search and they're not ranking. There's something wrong there. You're not just going to miss out on all the people searching for an orthodontist. You're not going to miss out on all those people that need you. You're going to miss out on all those people that were referred to you that then searched to see who else was out there. And you didn't show up in that search. And now you've created doubt. And you're going to miss out on all the people that are making early searches for their kids, for their families, trying to figure out what they're going to do, where they're going to go. You're missing out on those searches. So,
and if I remember right, you guys actually kind of look at the words in those markets that are the keywords, right?
We look at every word that matters in each city that matters. And we're really focused on, and we rank order them by the highest volume, lowest volume. So we know. So for us, Scott, we hate one size fits all, right? I need to know what you're ranking well for, what you're not ranking well for, because we shouldn't just do SEO, SGE. We should focus on where you need the help. And so for us, understanding it's really important.
And as search, what's the second word there?
Search generative experience. It's as we're starting to talk about AI searches, people making searches in ChatGPT, which I do I have a presentation on this where I actually make a search to show what these searches look like. What you're finding is people are making much longer tail searches. I want an orthodontist that can help my child who's scared of the orthodontist. Okay, that's a much longer, clearer query. There needs to be content on your site that supports that. There needs to be content in your reviews. You need video content that supports that. You need to really have so much information out on the web, across on your website and other places, social media, that's going to help promote these searches. So you want to be there when somebody is looking for the problem they solve. And to us, being there when someone's looking for the problem is even more important than putting my brand in front of someone that might have the problem. You've got to make sure you know who's got the problem, how many people are searching for it, and you've got to make sure you're ranking for it. So that internet dominance, that Google and search generative dominance, is that third piece to us.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to keep pulling on this thread because I think it's phenomenal, right? Like, so let's say we take a market like where you're in Reno. Is that right? So
I'm in Reno. Yeah.
Not to put that all out there on the interwebs here, but okay. So take a market like Reno, right? I would call it a mid-size American city, right? An orthodontist getting clicks because you're measuring every time someone goes into that website. What would a rock star orthodontist in a mid-sized city get for the number of times someone actually goes onto their website in a month?
You would see that in Reno, I actually have this number. I believe that 480 people just search for the term orthodontist every month in Reno, Nevada. And that's just that term. That's not orthodontist near me. That's not best orthodontist. That's not all of the little terms around it. Typically, orthodontist and Invisalign have the same amount of searches every month. So you can assume it's about 480 Invisalign searches too. And then braces are going to come in about 20% less than that. You're going to be seeing about 320 there. And then and braces and retainer tend to have some similarities around that number. Point being that if you're ranked number one, number two, you're going to get the 20, 30, 40% of those searches. And if you're not on that first page of Google, you're not going to get any of them. Take it a step further. If you're not focused on your search generative kind of bigger experience, you're going to miss out on all the people that are now slowly starting to go to AI tools like Gemini, like ChatGPT, and they're just asking, give me the best orthodontist in this town. And you're missing out on the fact that they're now just listing 1, 2, or 3 right there, right? And so if you don't have the content you need, you're missing on all of those also. So it's a significant lift when you have that Google dominance, but even worse, you're really missing out if you don't. You're creating that leaky bucket.
All right, let's move on to number 4, the fourth winning strategy for orthodontists. What do we got?
So our fourth winning strategy is website effectiveness. It's interesting because for me, there's some dovetail between that and brand clarity, just a bit, because I think a really effective website has that brand clarity. But it's a website that's beautiful, that converts really well. It's the non-1990s website, and it's the easiest one to explain, right? A 90s website is truly hard to use, hard for Google to understand, hard for you to update. And a really effective website has a strong UI, has a strong capacity to bring people in, engage them, and convert them. So it's a really simple one, and it's often, if you don't have like just a really effective, good website, just start there. You will have a nice lift. And so to us, we really focus on that as a really important thing to be looking at, and making sure that, like, as you're looking at the 6 winning strategies, like that one is often the lowest hanging fruit. Whereas reviews are also low hanging in that you can do it yourself. You don't need an agency. The website is even more basic than that.
I think people have a fear of the cost of a website. They're like, oh, a new website. Maybe you can talk a little bit about Brain Bytes' approach to websites and maybe not always needing a redesign and how you make those decisions, because I think that might stop a lot of people from making that very crucial decision.
Yeah. Let me say this. If you have a 1990s website, you're insane not to just bring it up to par, right? Just make it look good and work well. And go to a cheap agency if that's all you really can do. Just get your website looking great and see the number of referrals that you're getting go up. But a great website, Jay, goes a step farther. It's technically incredibly sound, so Google can really get a lot out of it from an SEO perspective. It's built in good new technology. It's really easy to convert on. It's built for content, right? Like you lay a really solid SEO foundation if you're trying to build a website that's going to be able to grow with you and that's going to be able to add services and treatments and really get all of that good SEO content. It can go with you too. So to me, if money is an issue, if you're struggling, right, or you don't want to spend a lot on a website, make something beautiful. You can go to Wix and make something beautiful, right? Like it's out there. But if you want a website that's going to truly serve you, I think you should be willing to spend, $10,000, $15,000 to get something that's not just excellent, but that's going to have brand differentiators that are really going to be thought out, and it's going to have a really solid SEO foundation. So I just think it's one of those. I think it's a no-brainer. But if you have a beautiful website, getting another beautiful website, I think that's when the assessment comes in. Like, what problems are we trying to solve? If there's not a big SEO footprint in your town, you don't need to spend so much, right? You're not trying to win every city. It's why for us, the most important thing is to assess a practice, because they all need something different. They don't all need the same website. They don't all have 8 locations. Like, it matters a lot what they actually have and what they actually need and what assets they bring to the table. So I think it's more important to figure all that out before you decide if something's worth whatever $10,000 or not, or $15,000 or whatever are the.
And I love that about your guys' approach. I look at you guys less as like, you're selling something, but more as consultants, right? Like it's like you're a part of their team. You really integrate into their team, and it's like, hey, we don't need to do all 8 of these things. We just need to do this one thing, right? I mean, you're really honest and transparent with that with the doctors. I love it.
Really appreciate that, Scott. It means a lot to us because we really love looking at a practice being like, you don't need a new website. We love it. We do it all the time. You don't need this program. All you need is this, and you need to do this internally. Like, I can't help you with this. This is you. We love that, right? We just want to be consultative. We just want to support, which is why we really do ask people, like, come out and do the assessment. It will change your game. You can use it internally. You don't always have to work with somebody. And we also are happy to look at an orthodontist and be like, hey, you need a really big, expensive website. Like, you have a lot to do here. There's a lot of ground to cover, especially in ortho that also does peds. Like, imagine how many things you have to get out there to Google, or an ortho that does cosmetic dentistry. Like, we're dealing with a lot here. Like, it's going to be expensive, right? So it's important to understand what you're dealing with and not make it one size fits all.
Hey, Savvy, we have maybe a little bit of a differentiating opinion in regards to like Square and Wix. And I'm curious, if somebody has, in your viewpoint, if somebody has the option of, okay, I've got an 80 site or I can have a Wix or a Squarespace site, but if they plan on doing more with it, are they going to be buried with technical debt? Because I haven't worked with one of those in a while, but as I remembered, it was very hard to move past it. And I'm wondering, is that still the case, or is it an okay option?
If SEO really matters to you, I think WordPress is still, far and away the best. And I think that's just the common opinion from a technical perspective, what it can provide you. What it can do for you. That is our philosophy. Second for me, if you're going to go homegrown, is Wix, and third is Squarespace. Wix has made some advancements in the way that they're looking at SEO, and we are, for the first time, we start working with clients that have a Wix website we will support them if it's solid and if it's good. And if they understand it's going to take longer, right? So, but Squarespace is not there yet. I would not do that. I would really, especially if you're going to work with an agency, build it in WordPress. Like, I mean, that's the way to go. But if you're going to do it by yourself, I don't think you're going to succeed in WordPress by yourself. It's not something that I think, unless it's built for you in a way that you can edit it, that's doable, right? We can build you a WordPress site that you can work in, but you're not going to be able to build it yourself. And so I still think WordPress is by far the best.
And there are plenty of WordPress developers out there, you can get quotes from to get it to the price range that you want if you don't want to go that route. Savvy, what is number 5? What is number 5?
Yeah, it's social, which is funny because when you think about social media and, you've got all of your orthodontists being like, I don't want to be a dancing doctor, right? And it's like, well, you should try dancing because it actually works. But joking aside, it's not just about being silly. Social media is a search engine. When I wanted to find a soccer coach, a private coach for my kid, I could not find it on Google. It didn't exist. I found it on Instagram. It's a search engine. People are looking to solve their problems on social media. So you've got to have it's a really winning strategy for people. If you are putting yourself out there, you're hitting all of the pillars of social media, right? You're creating educational content. Imagine what that does for SGE, for those searches. You're creating creative content. You're creating content to entertain people. Kids are on social media. They're making a lot of these orthodontic decisions and they want to see what's going on and they want to know where they're going. So being really good on social is an important winning strategy. And I mean organic social. Pick up that camera. And it's also, from my perspective, the hardest because it requires people getting over gaps that they're not ready to get over. Doctors are not ready to put a camera in front of their face. Doctors are not ready to think about, how we're going to keep a constant flow of content going. And it's because it's hard. Like, it requires a couple of things. You need something to say. You need a way to say it. You need a way to record it. You need a way to get it up there, but it matters. And when I say social, I do not mean pictures of your company picnic. I mean video content that has a purpose. It's either you're trying to entertain someone or educate someone, explain something to someone. It really matters, the ones with strong social. I also want to point out, when you have strong social, you can start connecting to your referring dentist. You can start calling them out, tagging them. And what are you doing? You're creating community. And as you create community, you're going to get more of those referrals. I hear from orthodontists all the time, oh, well, the dentists aren't referring anymore. They're just doing it all themselves. Yes, they're doing more themselves, but no, they're not doing it all themselves. They have started referring to other people too. And I think understanding that's really important. And social media is another great way to develop your overall authority. And it's great for doctors that are fun and have something to say, or doctors that are old and grumpy, but their staff is willing to make fun of them for it. Like, there's so many ways you can play here, but you do want to play in social. If that's the strategy you want to go with, again, there's many others before it, but yeah, that's the fit.
So Savvy, and I'm not an expert or know anything about this, but my guess is, and this is just what I hear, is there are doctors that you don't have to be dancing, like you said, or singing. There's doctors that find that nice, happy medium of being tasteful, presenting their brand and doing it the right way. I think the other thing that's interesting is these offices that seem to be successful with this, they tend to have they have a strategy, an employee, a calendar, a level of discipline around it too, right? I mean, it's not like it's just kind of haphazard. We got to get something up there. It's pretty well thought out and orchestrated. And when you see it done correctly, it's kind of impressive, right?
When you see it done correctly, it's not just impressive, it's powerful, and you realize it starts to connect to many other things. When you start to have regular meetings about your strategy, you start to be like, well, who are we? It connects back to brand, right? It connects back to what's on the website. Then it connects to the user experience. Hey, like, look at who we are. Are you sure answering the phone that way hits there? It's such a powerful thing when people sit down and talk about it, Scott. I love that you said that. And it also is where you get creativity. And creativity is magic in the field of orthodontics. It's magic if you can do something really special. There's a practice that, anyway, it's magic.
I think it's, for orthodontists that are afraid to take the leap, they just have to think of where their clients are. This is where people are spending their time. This is where new ideas are brought to them. This is where you can start to engage and provoke thought. So, like going after older dentists or older patients and saying, hey, it's never too late to have that smile of your dreams. It's just a different approach. It's more active than passive in terms of your approach to marketing. I also think that we have to tell people they have to build for tomorrow, even if they don't think that their clients are there. The younger generation or the next generation coming up, they're there. So even if you don't think your clients are there, they are. That's where they're living. The data shows it.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to make that easier. You can do this. You can podcast with a doctor. Just get them to talk. Once they're talking, and you can take that, put some B-roll on it, and create some meaningful content. And you don't always have to be silly or fun. Like Scott was saying, you can be real. You can talk about what you care about as an orthodontist, what the smile means to you, what the different elements are you focus on. You create that differentiation, you're going to bring people to you. You can't help it.
Just be authentic and let them see your passion. That's it. It's not.
And
It's.
I'm so with
Now,
you.
Savvy, you've given us the top 5, and just a refresher, it's brand. Number 2 is
Dominating business reviews.
dominating on your reviews. We've got SEO, SGE.
Number 3 is SEO. Wait, number 3 is SEO?
SEO and SGE footprint. 4 is website effectiveness. 5 is social media engagement.
And now, the creme de la creme, the final number 6 is
referral engagement.
Oh, there it is.
Here's the thing. Every marketer in the space, there's several agencies in this space, and they all want to ignore this and make it all about what they sell. It won't work. You need to be engaging your referrals. And to me, the first step of that is the extent to which you're measuring. Do you look every month how many referrals came through from all of these different sources? Do you look which ones don't refer to you at all? Or do you know what that pattern looks like over the months and over the years? Did you do a bunch of stuff pre-COVID that you never picked back up post-COVID? When I sometimes see that look in a doctor's eyes, that look of like something's not right here and I don't know what to do, I can often go to this and be like, hey, what's going on here? Are you doing this anymore? And let me tell you when it stops. Doctors when they get a little older, they're kind of just not so much into it. Their kids aren't in school anymore. It's less of a thing to actually create those engaging moments and opportunities. Is a big one. I see when doctors join DSOs, often those doctors, you have to really care about your own brand to really understand the importance of referrals, like to want to have a text message relationship with dentists, to want to really be connected to them. And sometimes when doctors sell to DSOs, that's one of the things that can go. And you have to really stop and be like, hey, are you doing this? Are you doing it in a meaningful way? And to me, there's so many ways to do this, right? Like there's so many strategies depending on what you're like. If you're a doctor that is shy and doesn't want to go out there and like mingle, join a study club with the other ones and contribute. Start your own study club with dentists and do that. You can do the food drop-offs are really easy. And I talk to dentists and I talk to their staff. It matters. If you do a really high quality job, they're going to remember you and they're going to give you the referral. They're going to get that going again. I think creativity is really important. Are you doing really creative things to engage these dentists? Are you creating opportunities for community to get together? So it's a big deal that you're continuing to engage these dentists and that you measure them. And the ones that don't, they start to drop and they don't really understand why. And the answer is it's gotten more competitive. You've got to stand out. And there's all kinds of ways to do that.
So Savvy, having been in the industry for a lot of years, I think this is really important, right? Like I think as with technology and, no referral needed and people have moved away from that, there's some doctors that are rock stars at building those relationships. I know everyone feels like they went to school to become a doctor, not a salesperson. And this feels kind of like that to them, but like there are doctors that are really good at it. And it's not cheesy. It's not being sleazy or a sales type thing. They're just building relationships with professionals in their area. And if you make it about that, building the relationship with your referral network and being friends with them, good things happen. And it's just amazing. And I think it's really important that I want to touch on this at the end. All these things take a little bit of time, don't they? Right? Like building up a referral network, you don't go drop off a basket of goodies and the referrals come the next week. You have to be consistent with that over, in some cases, years to get that referral pattern changed. And then even on the SEO stuff, I've learned working with Jason and you guys, some of this stuff just takes time, and then the flywheel starts happening. Is that correct?
100%. Change takes time. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about change. We're talking about changing the way you see your business. We're talking about changing your patterns, changing your investments. It does take time, but it also works. And incrementally, as you do these things, you'll start to see an incremental difference and it will give you confidence. I recently did this presentation with a practice here in Reno, but I did it with their practice and showed them how each of these strategies, how they were measuring up, and they're one of the strongest in for reviews, right? But they were not doing much with one of the strongest for referrals, but they weren't doing as much with reviews. And after that conversation, the reviews have started coming in, and it creates excitement, it creates engagement, it creates people wanting to give people that right experience, and it will grow the business. And referrals are so key to that. And I cannot tell you, this generation, I feel like such an old man saying this, but the generation coming up right now, they're so focused on their phones, on their current ways of communication. This relationship building is starting to it will become more of a competitive advantage to be able to go out there and make friends. I can meet with a group of residents and I can tell you which one I would hire, and it has nothing to do with how good they are, right? I don't know how good they are, but I'm like, oh, that one's going to make friends with everybody. That's the one we need. That one's got kids that are about to start first grade. That's the one we need, right? It's the ability to connect with people has never been more important because there's so much of it is not happening anymore. And it makes such a difference because it's not just it's everybody feels weird about putting themselves out there, right? But so does the person that you're connecting with. They just want to feel connected too, so give it to them. And you can do it. And there's a lot of creative ways to do it. If you have certain anxieties or concerns, there are ways around that. There are ways to hire around that. And there are ways to still create a connection, even if that makes you nervous. And one of those ways, Scott, for me is replace your own insecurities about making a connection with quality and intention. My intention is to give you something wonderful. My intention is to make your day truly brighter. The quality of what I'm going to provide is so high, it doesn't matter if I'm great at talking. It's because I want to create something for you. I'm going to set that table up myself. I'm going to put that tablecloth on it. And I'm going to put things that I hand selected that I think you're going to like. Quality will always, always make that easier.
And on that note, let the Brain Bytes team set your table. Go check them out at brainbytescreative.com. Click on that contact us link and really get a different experience. Like Savvy said, it's all about getting in there and learning about the practice and trying to solve problems to help them grow and starting from a very consultative place. And that's what you get at Brain Bytes from Savvy and the entire team. So I'm going to encourage you, go to brainbytescreative.com and smash that contact button so hard. All right. And taking it over to Scott, let's not forget about Scott and the great team at P.O.P. P.O.P is changing practices. Scott, how can people get in touch with you to make that critical first?
Well, before we get to that, I want to thank the team at Brain Bytes Creative because you guys have been a tremendous partner. And we're really lucky that you are the marketing agency that's locked in with our P.O.P team. So thank you so much for that. You guys have been terrific partners. And I think it comes back to Savvy and Jason, your passion for our business is outstanding. You're authentic and you're honest dealers, right? Like I love that part about you guys, right? Like you're not trying to just sell stuff. You're trying to, goes back to that relationship and the consultative approach. It's just been terrific. Going back to P.O.P, we'd love to talk to doctors. So just hit that schedule an intake call. It goes to my Calendly. We're doing a lot of cool things at P.O.P. Just schedule a call. I learn a little bit about you and your practice, share what we're doing here. And then if it's a good fit, it's a good fit. And we'd love to have you. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. All it takes is a couple clicks and you're on your way. I want to thank again Savvy Lorestani and my co-host Scott Haley for being on the show and the entire P.O.P podcast team. We will see you next time.
P.O.P podcast, let's go. The P.O.P podcast, let's go.